All right, if you're just joining, this is the webinar, Digital Fundraising, How to Completely Crush the Final 6 Weeks of 2018. This is Jeremy Hazelwood. We've allowed a couple of minutes for people to join who might have joined a couple minutes late. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you that are here, I definitely want to respect your time, and I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to attend this webinar. Let's go ahead and get going. So a little bit about me. My name is Jeremy Hazelwood. I have 20 years of digital marketing experience. I've also contributed articles on Forbes.com in the realm of digital fundraising and personal development. I've led digital fundraising strategy at multiple agencies that were in the realm of fundraising or direct marketing and digital. I also have helped my digital strategies that I've created or been a part of have helped generate over $100 million for nonprofits through the clients that I had the honor of being able to work with. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today are just simple frameworks and tips, things that I use that helped, that were effective with generating that money online. Also, within the nonprofit realm, I have direct experience with human services organizations, medical research organizations, disaster response, faith-based organizations, as well as animal welfare. I'm also the principal of Amplify Marketing and Business Consulting. So outside of this, if you have questions or need any assistance setting up any digital fundraising efforts, you can certainly reach out to me as far as that goes. So let's get into the webinar. What I'm going to talk about today is the last 6 weeks of the year. And as you know, these are the 6 weeks that count the most when it comes to fundraising. Not that the rest of the year doesn't count, but this is really crunch time. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, we'll get into 2 emerging trends that we're seeing on the rise with technology within digital fundraising. And then I'll get into 3 specific campaigns and some tips for each of these, which would be Giving Tuesday, which is right around the corner, holiday campaigns, and then year end. So let's get going. Let's talk about the last 6 weeks of the year. 30% of all giving occurs in the month of December. And the past couple of years, I believe Giving Tuesday has occurred in December. However, this year it actually occurs in November. And also you have within these last 6 weeks, Giving Tuesday, holiday, and year-end campaigns. So if you're a fundraiser right now, you know it is about to ramp up, and you've probably done a lot within the past several weeks and even months just planning for the last 6 weeks of the year. And one of the things I look at when you look at the last 6 weeks of the year, most businesses, they start to slow down a little bit. The holidays are coming and they're starting to wind down. Budgets are getting depleted for the year. A lot of people are taking holidays and vacation, trying to get in, squeeze out every last day of vacation that they can. So you see a lot of winding down. It's a little bit different for fundraisers though. We look a little bit more frantic. We're calling people, texting people, sending out emails. It is organized chaos, to say the least. And if you're a fundraiser, which a lot of you are that are attending this webinar right now, you know exactly how this is. While other people are slowing down, it is ramping up, and it is crazy time for us right about now. So that's one of the things that we want to keep in mind these last 6 weeks. But we also know how important these last 6 weeks are. And we recognize the importance that if we don't do our job as fundraisers, then ultimately we are limiting the impact that we're able to make. The causes that we support are not able to be fully funded, and we're not able to recognize the full potential of what we can do as fundraisers and the significance that we have in the world and to the people around us. So that is why these last 6 weeks are the most important. Now let's get into a couple of emerging trends that we're looking at. The first one is voice, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment. And then the other trend that we're seeing a lot of is using some of the live capabilities through social media, like Facebook Live. Instagram has live features, Twitter, Snapchat. A lot of these online or digital social media platforms, including YouTube, offer live features. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as well within this webinar. The first thing I want to show, if you're not aware of what Alexa has available through Amazon, I want to show this little video, and I hope the sound comes out correct here. If not, you can certainly Google on YouTube and you can watch this video.
Pulse 120/30. Nurse, bandages.
Yes, doctor. Alexa, make a donation to St. Jude. How much would you like to donate?
It's gonna be okay.
And just like that, Amazon Alexa, you can make a donation with your voice. we've talked about reducing friction as fundraisers over the years. There's even in the digital realm, you go to a landing page, or you may even start with an email. An email points you to a landing page. A landing page, you have to fill out all the information on a form. You have to submit the form. And yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes up time. So as fundraisers, and a digital especially, I'm always looking for a way to reduce friction. And voice, you can't get any easier than just saying make a donation to, and then you state where you want to make a donation to. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. And some of the features, I'll go over some of the features and benefits, and more specifically of Amazon Alexa, because this is the only device that I'm aware of right now where you can speak into it the amount that you want to donate and the charity in which you want to donate to. So the features of this, you can make donations by voice through Alexa or even your Amazon app. If you have an Amazon app in your phone, which so many people have it on their smartphones, you can actually speak into your Amazon app and make a donation that way. There's no technical skill needed from a nonprofit's perspective. You don't have to build websites. You don't need to know anything about coding. All you have to do is register. You see the link down there below. It's pay.amazon.com/US/charity. There's been over 50 million devices sold of Amazon Alexa. Now, I do have a note down. It has the source of this. And the question is, and I wasn't able to get solid information on this, is whether these are worldwide units or just in the United States. So even then, and also you have to think about the demographics of your donor, and the average donor being in their 70s. Many may not have these devices yet. However, there's a fraction of them that would have these devices. 2%, it's estimated, have actually made a purchase through their Alexa device. So if you look at 50 million units sold, that's about 1 million people have made a purchase through their Alexa device. And I think a lot of it right now is just educating people that this feature is even available through Alexa, that you can actually make a donation by using your voice. How the charges work is that Amazon charges you 2.2% per donation plus 30 cents. So naturally, if it's a larger donation, that's going to cut into what you would make normally. And you would want to look at what your current payment gateway is right now and how much those transactional charges are that are currently exist through different means in which you obtain online donations. Right now, it's only available in the United States. So if you're listening to this webinar in any other country, it's currently not available outside of the United States. Now, the benefits of Amazon Alexa is that nonprofits, you actually do get to keep a lot of the data, which, that's always a question. If you use a third-party technology, what kind of data will you have access to? That way you can reach back out to your donors. You can affirm your donors. You can send them an email acknowledging that they made a gift through Alexa. But you have access to the donor's name, their email address, and their billing address. So, which a lot of times is their physical address, but it could vary a little bit. So this is an email address. This is a billing address that you could utilize for your own ongoing fundraising or direct marketing needs. You can also obtain donations faster with less friction, as we talked about. The time that it takes to say, Alexa, make a donation to charity X, like that takes less than 10 seconds, as opposed to clicking through different web pages, putting all of your donor information in there and clicking donate. It's the quickest way to make a donation, period. It's much quicker than writing a check, sealing an envelope, getting a stamp. It's the quickest way to make a donation. And I see this as probably the biggest opportunity in the future. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, voice, I believe, is going to really explode in the nonprofit realms, because so many more people are going to have these devices or have access to these devices, and it will be an easy way to make donations. Within Amazon Alexa, you also have 24/7 access to your reports, and they're updated daily. So you don't have to wait for a monthly report or bi-weekly report. Anytime that you want to access your reports, it's updated daily. And how the payments work is that after an initial 14-day period, the payments are released to the nonprofits, and they're dispersed daily outside of that 14-day period. But it's a 7-day rolling payment. So it'll look at, so if you get a donation today, you won't be able to get the payout tomorrow. It will actually be 7 days from now. You will have the payout from that. So you get paid relatively quickly. again, you have to register with this. You can't, if you're not registered with Amazon right now, then you won't be eligible to receive this. If someone speaks the name of your organization into Alexa to make a donation to you, you will not be able to receive that until you actually register with Amazon. So again, go to this URL right here, pay.amazon.com/US/charity. Get your organization registered so you now have another way that you can acquire donations online. Let's talk a little bit about Live, and I'm going to talk primarily about Facebook Live. So the features with Facebook Live is that your followers of your page are notified when you go live. All you need is a smartphone. You don't need a bunch of fancy technology. Now, there's certainly options if you want to do more higher quality cameras or more high quality microphones or something like that, but at a very basic level, because as a nonprofit, you're strapped for time, especially this time of year. You need to keep it as minimal as you can in terms of how to produce a live event. So all you need is a smartphone, and as long as you have that, you can go live anytime. You can also respond to comments live. So as you're as you're streaming live and you're talking about things, people who follow you or are watching your live feed can actually comment. They can ask you questions, they can comment on what you're saying, and you can see those comments from your end of it, and you can respond to those comments live. So if you want to do a live Q&A session, or if somebody asks you how much of my donation, if I give today, will actually go to the cause and not go to administrative expenses, you can answer that right there on the spot. And the video publishes to your page when your broadcast ends. So just because it's a live video doesn't mean that it's gone forever once the live feed ends. No, what happens is if you have let's say a 15-minute or a 30-minute live stream that you do, as soon as you end that, it will actually be a part of content that you have that will now be a part of your Facebook page, and people can access that anytime they go to your page. And there are some limitations. You can do up to 4 hours at a time. So if you're trying to do like a 24-hour marathon of fundraising, you wouldn't be able to do all 24 hours at one time. However, you could certainly do 4 hours and then start another live stream at 4 hours and 1 minute and so on and so forth. But the maximum that you can do is 4 hours at a time. So the benefits to using live content is that it can humanize your brand or your organization. A lot of times people see your logo, they see your website, they might see the work that you do, but maybe they don't understand the voice, and you actually get to speak the voice of your organization. They get to see the real people behind the brand, the real people that are keeping that organization going day in and day out, and the people that are involved with the money that you're raising, that the donors are giving. They can see how that money is being put into action, and who are the people that are actually in the field making sure that their money is going and they're being good stewards of the donations that are given to them. It also creates urgency, and I think of things like a Giving Tuesday, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Doing live content can create urgency. If there's a limited time to raise a certain amount of money, or during disaster response or disaster recovery, think of something like that. You have a limited window where you can maximize how much money you make for your nonprofit. So by going live, you can talk about things as they happen. You can talk about the need as it is right now and the urgency of why these donations are needed today or right now or this week. You can also provide timely updates through live content. So let's think about maybe a post-disaster scenario case. You can go on every day and say, here's how we're doing right now. We were able to raise this much money yesterday, but we still need this much more money. So you can provide timely updates to your donors and to your followers online by going live. And then you can engage with your audience in real time. So which kind of goes to the features that I mentioned. As you are on a live stream and you're talking live, people, you can engage with them right then and there that have questions, comments, concerns. You can thank people as they come on. Like if you see one of your high value donors log in and watch your live stream, you can acknowledge them right then and there. So if Jane Doe is one of your big supporters, you'll be notified when she comes on to your live stream. You can say, oh, hey, Jane, thanks for joining us today. So something like that to make your donors feel really good about being invested within your organization. So moving on, let's talk about 3 different campaigns. The first one we'll talk about is Giving Tuesday. And so I have this big save the date here, November 27th. Like everybody watching this right now should know that November 27th is Giving Tuesday of this year. And getting into some of the stats of Giving Tuesday, what you see here is 2.5 million gifts. And this is the total number of gifts that were given worldwide last year on Giving Tuesday. There was $300 million raised last year on Giving Tuesday. 150 countries participated, or 150 plus rather, participated in Giving Tuesday. And the average gift was $134 on Giving Tuesday. And if you look at maybe an average gift, I would challenge you to do this. Like Giving Tuesday, these are, gosh, I'm going to say, I don't have any numbers to support this, but I would say like 95% of your gifts given on Giving Tuesday were through digital, because it's primarily a digital campaign. So let's just look at this $134 average gift as a digital gift and compare that to what your average digital gift is the rest of the year, or even during holiday time or year-end time. So that way you kind of have a benchmark of how to gauge your organization. It's a pretty high average gift. So campaign components that you might need for Giving Tuesday. And I'm going to list several of these here. Now, as I list all of these, I want you to think about whether you're doing these things right now or not. If you're not doing these things, identify whether or not you have the resources to do these things. And if you don't, then you don't. But if you do, think about how you can integrate these into your Giving Tuesday mix. So the first thing that we'll talk about is a website banner. And Giving Tuesday, I look at this as a fully integrated program or fully integrated campaign that has a lot of different online elements that you can use to really maximize your exposure and your organization's exposure on Giving Tuesday. The first one is a website banner. When people come to your website on Giving Tuesday, and actually I'll provide some dates when to do all of this here on the next slide, but when they come to your website, they need to see your Giving Tuesday campaign. It needs to say Giving Tuesday is today, or Giving Tuesday is on November, 27th. So you want to make sure that people see that, and that way they know when to give. Sorry, I had to go back there. That's part of the thing of going live, is making these edits on the fly here. Now, the next thing you want is a donation page version for Giving Tuesday. Now, I'm a big proponent of all of your assets for your campaigns really syncing up. So, and it doesn't necessarily mean that every campaign asset has to be all matchy-matchy. But if I'm giving to a Giving Tuesday campaign, then I like for there to be a Giving Tuesday donation page. That way I know as a donor that my gift is going to Giving Tuesday. Now, if I hit a Giving Tuesday banner and it points to just a regular donation page, it may not necessarily keep me from giving to that organization. However, it may make me question, is this going to a Giving Tuesday campaign? So I always like to sync up, and it's just good marketing, and it's good consistency and continuity for your donors to have a smooth experience throughout the whole donation process. Everything, there's continuity between all the different assets that are a part of the campaign. Next, on the day of, you do an AM email and a PM email, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in a moment. You'll have social media posts that are involved, actually leading up to Giving Tuesday, on Giving Tuesday, and post Giving Tuesday. You also have social media banners, and by social media banners, it's really on Facebook. It'll be your profile image in the background. For Twitter, it would be your background image. So any of your profile or background images that are part of any of your social media platforms, I would change those over on Giving Tuesday to have Giving Tuesday messaging, so that anywhere anybody sees your brand on Giving Tuesday or leading up to Giving Tuesday, they're thinking of your organization. So when they see Giving Tuesday, they think of your organization and they make a gift to your organization on Giving Tuesday. You can also incorporate Facebook Live on Giving Tuesday as well. Provide an update. It could even be from your office. If you're doing a live event somewhere else, maybe you're doing a luncheon or something like that to correspond with Giving Tuesday, you can go Facebook Live or live on Instagram, Twitter, any of these live ones. I say Facebook because it's the largest social media platform. And then you can also run Facebook ads. So people who may not necessarily be looking for your brand, or they may even be donors of your brand, but they're not necessarily actively finding you on that day. It's just a reminder on Giving Tuesday, hey, today's Giving Tuesday, make a gift to our organization. You can also do search engine marketing ads on Google and Bing. If you have a Google grant, you can utilize your Google ad grant in order to promote Giving Tuesday for your organization. if you have a SMS program or a texting program, it's a great way to engage with your donors and let them know today is Giving Tuesday. So you kind of see a theme happening with all these different things here. Now, the last piece that I have on here is a direct mail postcard. Now, it's probably a little late in the game right now to do a direct mail postcard, and I've never seen this done, but I've always been curious. And if you have done something like this, I'd love to hear how it worked for you. But I always thought like sending a direct mail postcard in advance, maybe in this case, it would arrive in the home maybe a week before Giving Tuesday with a save the date on there. And that's all it'd be, very simple, save the date postcard for Giving Tuesday, and you'd have a link on that postcard to your Giving Tuesday campaign page. So that's something that I would like to see more of. And if you're doing something like this, I would love to hear how that worked for you, what the results were, and if there was actually a lift in your overall Giving Tuesday revenue. Now let's go into an example of some of the dates for Giving Tuesday for this year. And I'm just going to say this. I can say this is a recommended date, but based on your organization's history, if something's worked in the past for you, go with what's worked in the past. Just use this strictly as a reference. If you've never done Giving Tuesday before, then what I'm going to lay out on this slide might be a good way for you to start your Giving Tuesday this year. So the way I would look at it is the Tuesday before Giving Tuesday, so starting on November 20th, and this is the week of Thanksgiving, just put out a Giving Tuesday announcement. And you can do this through social media posts. You can add your social media banners up on your or on your social media profiles. You can do if you're doing a Thanksgiving email that week, send a Thanksgiving email out and maybe a little call out of saying November 27th is Giving Tuesday. Just something to put it on your donors' minds during that particular email. And then also a website banner. So if you're doing a Thanksgiving campaign, it's probably going to wrap up the week of Thanksgiving. And, certainly wouldn't recommend mixing messages. Like if you have a Thanksgiving campaign, let that campaign end before you do Giving Tuesday. So even though I'm saying Tuesday, November 20th here, for you, it may have to be on Friday when you actually put that Giving Tuesday campaign banner up on your website. So on Friday, on November 23rd, I would consider this like the ramp up period. So November 20th is more like your Giving Tuesday announcement time frame. On the 23rd, now we're really ramping up for Giving Tuesday. And this is when you would begin to put some advertising dollars behind Facebook ads and your search engine marketing ads, which would be your Google AdWords, your Bing, or Google Ad Grants. On Monday, November 26th, this is the day before Giving Tuesday. So you definitely don't want to wait until Giving Tuesday before your donors hear about you. So that's why I recommend starting this at least a week in advance. And some people may say start even earlier than that. So again, this is really a baseline that I would recommend that you use, but it doesn't mean that this is the only way to do it. So on the Monday before Giving Tuesday, you would send an email out to your email subscribers saying tomorrow's the big day, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. One of the things that I was reading previously was that there's so many emails on Giving Tuesday that have the word Giving Tuesday in their subject lines that it can be a little bit overwhelming. So you might even maybe do a 50-50 split, an A/B test to test a Giving Tuesday appearing in your subject line versus a different subject line, and see which one of those actually results in higher open rates, higher click-through rates. And if you can track it down to the conversion, even better. So that Monday before, you send an email, tomorrow's the big day. You would do social media posts saying tomorrow's Giving Tuesday. And if you are doing an SMS program, you can send a text message just reminding your donors that tomorrow's Giving Tuesday. Now, the day of is Giving Tuesday, November 27th. This is where everything really matters. This is where execution is of the utmost importance. You would have social media posts, and I have posts, plural here, and that was intentional. The other ones are more recommended posts, but I would say on Giving Tuesday, post multiple times throughout the day. Give shout outs to people who have made donations. Think about how NPR does their fundraising, and they say, hey, we need X amount of donations by this time of day. So if we need 10 donations by 11 a.m. and the people who did make a donation, maybe give those people a shout out on social media. So acknowledge your donors real time if possible, and be engaged. Make it something fun to do. You would send an email in the morning time about Giving Tuesday. Today is the day, and you would talk about what you're doing or why Giving Tuesday is important to you, what the donor will get in return. In other words, their $50 will actually get to help a family provide food, clothing, and shelter for a family of 3 or something like that. But let them know why it's important, and you're not just capitalizing because it's Giving Tuesday. Donors still want to know that their money is going towards something good. You would also send a PM email like Giving Tuesday is almost over or only 3 hours left, whatever you want to put in there to create more urgency. But that AM and that PM email is important because one is more of an announcement, today's Giving Tuesday, and then the second one has that urgency involved in it. And, this is the last time to give for Giving Tuesday this year. And here's why it's important. These families need you. These animals need you. Whatever your cause is, you can tie it into why it's so urgent that today is the day. And then you can also do Facebook Live on Giving Tuesday. So maybe it's your organization's CEO or president or development director. Maybe it's a walkthrough. If you have a homeless shelter, maybe you're actually walking through and showing the facilities and saying, here's why Giving Tuesday is so important. We're trying to expand. We're doing renovation here, and we want to provide more support. We want to provide more food. So if there's a soup kitchen or something like that, if you can do a Facebook Live segment from there, like it just adds more, it humanizes your brand, and it gives more of a reason why people should give to Giving Tuesday. For SMS messaging on Giving Tuesday, if you're doing an SMS program, then yes, certainly send a text message out on SMS. Now, one thing I'd recommend or maybe caution on with SMS is that you don't overdo it, because once people unsubscribe to an SMS, it's hard to get them back. So you don't want to send SMS updates throughout the day. I would say 1, maybe 2 max for your text messages to your text message subscribers on Giving Tuesday. Now, once Giving Tuesday is over, all the communication stops, right? Wrong. That's when we look at Wednesday, November 28th. This is when you are all about affirmation. You're all about gratitude. You send an email, you have social media posts, and maybe even go Facebook Live. And with this, you're just saying, thank you so much for making Giving Tuesday a success. We were able to raise X amount of dollars. And if you don't have that dollar amount, and it needs to be November 28th or 29th, just make sure that it's that week if possible. I would recommend on Wednesday, because you asked for and you commanded a lot of time from your donors over the past few days and a lot of attention. So you want that payoff to be there for your donors to say, hey, you guys helped us do this. You were engaged. We thank you for what you've done. Here's what we were able to raise, and here's what we're able to do with it. So make sure that you definitely affirm it. I would say most organizations do everything through Giving Tuesday, but then that's it. On Wednesday, it's crickets. So don't do that to your donors. Make sure that you let your donors feel appreciated for what they've done and let them know the impact that they've made. All right, so enough of Giving Tuesday. Let's get on to holiday campaigns. And one of the things I'm going to say here, because I'm going to talk about holiday and then year end, a lot of the components are going to be the same throughout all of these campaigns. So I'm not going to go through and list all the different components again, like your, email and social media posts and all that. What I am going to show you is more of an example schedule. And as I'm going through the schedule, you'll see how those different components work their way in. And again, this year, holiday campaigns, I don't know if I'd say call it a disclaimer, but there's so many different holidays to celebrate within the month of December. And so I'm not going to say this is your Christmas calendar or Hanukkah calendar. It's just, I'm going to say holidays because your organization, which holidays you acknowledge, which ones you celebrate. The main thing here that's important is that it is the holiday season, and this is a time where there is, again, 30% of all revenue for nonprofits is going to be raised in December. So that's why however you position your holiday campaign, it's important that you do one, but you have to create the wording and the themes for your holiday campaigns that make the most sense for your organization. So with that being said, let's look at the website. You have your website banners up promoting your holiday campaign, and those would run from November 28th through December 25th. And again, this is taking into context this year. Your donation page would have version for holiday campaigns. So if it's Christmas trees in your holiday campaign, your donation page may have Christmas trees in it. Your email, it's hard for me to say when you should send your email because, again, it depends on your organization, but you would send a mix of affirmational and fundraising messages. This is a time of year that I know a lot of nonprofits, because it's so urgent for nonprofits to raise money, that most of the communication that they put out is asking for money. And I would really caution you not to do that, because what you want to do is, whenever someone hears from you, they don't want to automatically tune you out because they think you're going to ask for money. So figure out the right mix for your organization. And I really think between November 28th and December 25th, you should probably have 4 to 6 emails that go out. And if it is 4 to 6, then 1 to 3 of those should be an affirmational email, affirming the donor for who they are, what they've done. Maybe it's just a nice story of hope or a story of impact, saying, here are the things that we've been able to do this year. So make it about the donor and not about the organization. You would run social media ads from November 28th through December 26th. And well, actually, I'll get to that here in a second. You would also have social media content. I would recommend 2 to 3 times a week from the day after Giving Tuesday through December 26th. And I know I'm saying we're really focusing on, we're not necessarily focusing on Christmas. Naturally, Christmas is December 26th, but I'm specific about 26 because it is such a big holiday. And really, when you get from the 27th on through the rest of the year, it really becomes more about year-end fundraising. So that's why I have this cutoff of December 26th. Your search engine marketing would also run through November 28th to December the 26th. So you can see overall, like, this holiday campaign schedule would run from November 28th through December 26th. You'll see the online display ads here. So these would be your ads that would show up, your website banners that might show up on different news sites or fashion or lifestyle sites. These are the online banners where if you go to a website, this is an example of a retargeting one. If you go to your organization's website, now as someone's checking their email, your website banner is popping up on the side. That's an example of an online display ad. But you would have these to support your overall holiday campaign. And again, November 28th through December 6th. Another tip here with these for your social media ads, your online display ads, and let's see, I guess just between those two, social media ads and your online display ads, you'll want to make sure that the creative that you use, that you change it up within this time frame, probably at least 2 times. And you may want to change it every 2 weeks. And if possible, I don't mean completely 100% change it. Keep the same overall theme. So if you have certain types of images and fonts and colors that you're using creatively, make sure that that's continuous throughout your whole campaign. However, like, the subject of an image might be different, or if it's an image of a little girl, maybe it's the same girl but doing something different. So at least there's continuity. However, it's not the exact same image that people are seeing from November 28th to November 26th, because what will happen in that case is that donors and potential donors will begin to kind of screen those out, and they'll begin to no longer pay attention to those ads. And that's not what we want. We want them to see the ad, pay attention to the ad, and have it still be relevant. So that's why it's important to change up your creative from this time frame. And I would say a good rule of thumb would be every 2 weeks, change the creative of your ad. And maybe it's a different call to action. This is a great time also for you to test the effectiveness of different ads, because you can look pretty much real time which ads are performing the best. And you can create new ads based on those higher performing ads, and you can turn off those ads that are not performing at all. So these are just some tips I would give to you for your digital media during this time of year. Now, if you're doing SMS, I would say 1 to 2 messages during this time frame. Again, you don't want to overwhelm people with text messages, because a mobile device is very personal to people. Like, we always have our cell phones with us. And if you're texting too much, that's the quickest way that you can lose someone following you through that form of communication, which you don't want to do. These people are relevant to your organization, and you want to maintain a good relationship through text message with them. Other things to consider during the holiday, you could write a blog post and put it on your website, or if you're active in medium.com, if you're not on medium.com, that might be a blogging site for you to check out if you don't have a blog already on your website. So you can post a blog about the services that your organization does for people or animals or whatever you all do, what your organization does over the holidays and the impact of those services. And you might even have an online gift catalog that you do. And so that might be something that you can throw into your holiday campaign as well, and make the gift catalog be the really hub of all of your digital fundraising activities, and your email and your social media ads and your online display ads all point to that digital catalog. So that's an idea as well. And you might even find a time within your holiday time frame to do a Facebook Live type of stream. So if you're delivering toys for tots, for example, and as you're collecting them or delivering them, like, that's great content to show you in the field actually doing that kind of work, and it builds a lot of momentum for your organization. So I would challenge you to think about how you can use Facebook Live during this time of year to help increase your donations. Now, moving on to year end, we're going to talk about the last few days of the year. And again, we're going to see a lot of the same components. We'll look at your website banners, flipping over to year-end banners, December 26th through the 31st. You have a donation page version for year-end campaign giving. You have an email. And again, I'm recommending the 28th, the 30th, an AM email on the 31st, and a PM email on the 31st. Now, if you look at the very bottom, I have a note here. It says 11% of all giving happens the last 3 days of the year. The average December 31st gift is $223. The rest of the year, the average gift is $110. And again, the source of this is Network for Good. So that is why when I say your emails on the 28th, 30th, and 31st, because the last 3 days of the year are the most important, I would get a jump start. So 4 days before the end of the year, the 28th, I would send out that first email, and then I would be quiet on the 29th. On the 30th and 31st, I would ramp it up again. Now, you may choose to do the 29th, 30th, and 31st, and that's fine. And again, use this. If you already have a system that works for you, use that system. If you don't have a system, use this as a baseline and make any necessary adjustments. You could even test it. You could split your file in half and send half of it on the 28th and half on the 29th and see which one yields the best results for you. And then another email I would send will be a follow-up that first week of January. So kind of like we talked about for Giving Tuesday, sending that email the day after Giving Tuesday and letting the donors know how much you were able to help. That whole month of December, and including Giving Tuesday, you are working your butts off to raise money and have the most impact that you can with your organization and your fundraising activities. As a donor, it's important for me to know how you all did. And this is another area where most nonprofits drop the ball. In January, there's not that email saying, thank you so much for helping us through this busy holiday season. We were able to raise X amount of dollars, which will do X amount of, good, or X, you quantify the dollars that you raise with the impact that those dollars will have. So don't leave that out. If you have that information back by the first week of January, send that out. If it's not till mid or late January, at some point, circle back to those donors and send that email out. You'd want to run your social media ads from December 27th through December 31st. With this one, you could change your social media ads. Like if you really want to be clever with it, you could certainly have a different ad for different days saying 3 days left, 2 days left. Today is the last day of the year. So you could certainly create ads like that and deploy those on Facebook, for example, to create more urgency. You would also have social media content. So these would be your organic posts, whether they're images, videos, or just regular posts. You could do that. Your search engine marketing, you would have year-end campaigns running from December 27th through the 31st. And you could run this similar to that social media ads if you wanted to have a 3 days left, 2 days left. Today is the last day of the year. So you certainly have the flexibility within Google AdWords and Bing to have a different ad for a different day. And of course, it depends on the resources that you have to set this up. But all of this is possible. You can also have your online display ads running. Again, this would not be your holiday online display ads, but a year-end campaign. All of this ties in with the same year-end campaign, and these would run from December 27th through December 31st. If you have that SMS program going, you can send that text message on the 30th and on the 31st. And other things that you can do, you could do a blog post about year-end, and you can also do live content between December 28th and December 31st. Again, because it's such a short window, that's part of the reason why year-end fundraising is successful. Another one is, honestly, the tax incentives that people get by donating by December 31st. But as a nonprofit, because there's a deadline, a hard deadline of December 31st, it really allows nonprofits to capitalize on that urgency. And if there's something you can do with live content, it would be a great opportunity for you to take advantage of that. So these are the campaigns that we're talking about. This is how you can crush the last 6 weeks of the year. To go further, I actually just put out a book this week. It's called The Digital Fundraising Blueprint. If you're still new to digital fundraising and really looking to get a foundation of it, you can purchase this book. If you're a seasoned vet of digital fundraising, there might be some tips and tricks in here, things that you might be able to actually use with your existing campaigns to help generate incremental revenue for your nonprofit. So it's a paperback book. It's $185. That's my dog Callie there in the picture. She's looking at the book. She's read it a couple of times, I'm sure. And this book is available exclusively on Amazon Prime and Amazon Kindle. So you can just go to Amazon and search Digital Fundraising Blueprint, and it will pop up. So you can purchase that book. The last thing that I'll say, if you really want a deeper understanding of digital fundraising, because we've talked about the last 6 weeks, but if you just need help with an overall program, how to set it up, just more general knowledge of how the different channels work, you can actually take my online course, the Digital Fundraising Blueprint online course. And this is filled, it has 70 plus videos within it. There's over 5 hours of content, and it's nothing but digital. Now, I do talk a little bit about how to integrate direct mail with digital, but this gives you a very in-depth dive on digital fundraising. And cool thing about it, if you are needing CFRE points, or if you're a fundraising professional, you can actually get 4.5 CFRE points by completing this course. You can contact me through Facebook, Twitter, or you can go to my blog, medium.com/@JeremyHazelwood. But these are ways that you can contact me. I really hope that the webinar that we did today provided enough information for you to actually have the best Giving Tuesday, holiday, and year-end digital program and make the most digital revenue that you've ever done in history. Like, I honestly mean that. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. Thank you for the hard work that you do as nonprofit professionals, because you have a heart to do this work, and if you didn't, you would do something somewhere else and probably get paid more money. So thank you for your dedication to the causes that you support, and I hope this information was valuable. Thank you, and have a great day.